So, working of the WP4 is a equipment which is commercially available. This appears to be a sort of a chamber where you have a dryer in which you can mount the sample over here in a small cup, and there is a block chamber inside. So, if you look into it, this works on the principle of relative humidity. That means, if I take a sample which is saturated and if I leave it beneath the fan, what will happen? The moisture will evaporate, and these moisture in the form of the evaporation, if they get condensed on a mirror, okay, that mirror I can use some infrared technique to measure what is the volume of the moisture which has got condensed over there. So, this is the calibration which is done in the form of the electronics to measure what is the relative humidity of the sample, and this relative humidity can be converted into the suction value directly. This technique is also known as chilled mirror technology. Chilled mirror technology. So, read about it, which gives you the total suction. So, the point here to be noticed is that most of these WP4 type of instruments, they work in the range of 0 to 80 MPa, but of course, the new ones in the market go up to 350 megapascals also of the suction value. Remember, these are the negative pressures. But what we have proven is that these equipments cannot be utilized for the range of 0 to 1500 kPa. And, for that, the pressure membrane extractor works better. So, in short, pressure membrane extractor and the WP4 result should be utilized together to get the SWCC. More about this, please read from the papers which I have referred to, particularly the papers which have been written by Vikas Thakur. Alright. Now, the pretext what we take from here is that if I take the soils in their native state, which might be contaminated, and if I establish the SWCC, and if I wash the soil sample several times by using water or different chemicals, and if I keep on measuring the air suction values, there will be a difference, and that is what decontamination is. Now, you may ask a question that in real life we can't do this, because there will be millions of tons or the millions of metric cube of the soil which might be contaminated. So, how would you draw a parallel between the laboratory exercise and the field exercise? So, the answers could be like I am using this technique first of all to establish what is the level of contamination, whether the soils are contaminated or not. Second is, I can create a small prototype sort of a thing in the lab to show if this is the volume of the material and if this is the level of contamination, how much washing is required to get rid of all the chemicals which are adhering to it, and then this becomes this can be scaled up in the real life. So, these type of challenges are still lying ahead of us, we have to overcome them. Laboratory studies have been done, but when you have to take them to the field at a bigger scale, you have to be very judicious in applying them. Does this answer your question that what is the significance and how the practical applications of these techniques have been made? If you look at this, it is not the matter of time. What is more interesting is I have to come up to the tail of the graph. So, for few soils we have seen that this take months. All these experiments are basically they test your nerves, patience, particularly when you are working on the organic materials. It is very difficult to ooze out moisture from them even after drying, and if you are drying them, the chances are that they may catch fire or they may distort, the volumetric deformations could be there. So, it becomes very tricky to work on it. But I hope you can understand that these are the questions which are being answered, which will become tomorrow's guidelines and tomorrow's code of conduct.
In my college lab, Fredland SWCC device.
Yeah.
They were using that to prepare the.
So, this is the case study which I wanted to share with you. Incidentally, you only talked about the case studies today, and then this is the case study which I am talking about. Most of the coastal regions, particularly the ports, are very much concerned about the quality of the soil, and all this comes under the green initiative of Government of India. So, most of the ports have to comply with the green ports status. I hope you understand what is the meaning of the green port. That means, first of all, this is a zero waste discharge, nothing goes out of the port area, either in the gaseous form, liquid form or the solid form. But if you do the audit of most of the ports, you will realize because of the cargo handling, the soil is becoming contaminated. Imagine chemicals which are being brought in, urea particularly, different type of acids, petroleum, hydrocarbon, items of day to day life and so on. So, they get spilled over when you stack them, and this is becoming a big work for environmental geotechnologists to establish that the soils there are uncontaminated, and in case they are contaminated, you have to clean it up. There are many instances where the fire has taken place at the place of storages of these consignments, which are known as containers. They have exploded also, and these type of accidents happen in the factories, and once they meet this fate, you have to clean up the entire area. So, if you characterize the soils of the marine nature which are in the coast of Bombay, these are the properties of the soils. You have specific gravity, particle size distribution, liquid limit, classification is typical MH type of a soil. These chemical properties come from the XRF analysis, X-ray fluorescence, and then if you look at the chloride and sulphide content, these are extremely high, and the cation exchange capacity is also high. So, chloride content tells you that the soils are impregnated heavily with this marine seawater, and then you have to do something to create the facilities over there. So, what we did is we took this as a initiation point for studies, and we started washing them to nullify the contamination level. So, what you will observe here is that we have given number of washings to the soil sample. LS is the liquid to solid ratio. The process is simple, you take certain amount of soil and add 2 times the water. So, this becomes L by S equal to 2, measure the chloride content and sulphide content, and keep on increasing the volume of the water to wash the soil sample, or you can literally wash it also. So, then L by S becomes 4 times, 6 times, 8 times, 10 times, and then keep measuring these things until you get something which is within the permissible limits. So, this is one of the techniques which we worked on, and what we have shown here is that if you measure the electrical conductivity of the supernatant and number of washing, what you will observe is that as the number of washing increases, the conductivity of the pore solution decreases. So, remember we were talking about the pore solution and its application to establish whether the soils are contaminated or uncontaminated. So, in literal words, what you have to do is you have to bring down the salinity from this point to this point if you want to make this soil usable for different applications. Clear? So, electrical conductivity data has to be manipulated in terms of the time and money. So, these type of relationships have to be developed, and then if you measure the SWCC of the contaminated and washed soils. So, what you will realize is that these are the peculiar SWCC curves for the contaminated soils and uncontaminated soils or the washed soils, and what you will realize is for a given moisture content there is so much suction difference. Now, this is the osmotic suction. So, what I am trying to convey here is that soil water characteristic curve itself happens to be a interesting way to establish the level of contamination of the soils.
So, this washing process is done in large scale?
So, that is what I told you some time back that before you launch something in the market, what do?
The thing is that wash water, it's like we are contaminating
so
something.
you have read our mind, correct. So, that itself is going to be a secondary source of contaminant, you are right. But see, as a technologist, what you have to do? You have to keep on trying different options. You can't say that I can't do it.
It's like we are just transferring the pollutants from one source to.
That's right. So, from your own mistakes you learn, is it not? So, somebody must have washed soils in the beginning, and then someone else must have asked this question that what you are going to do with this slurry. Third person would have asked how would you dry it up now, this soil. Fourth person would have asked how would you reconstitute the samples from the slurry state to this state. This is how the S&T grows, develops, when you have to ask lot of questions. So, your questions are valid. Now, coming back to your point, the question would be, I need not to do the washing. Washing is, a connotation. There could be another interesting way of getting rid of the contaminants by making this a benchmark and saying if I do any treatment, clear, and if my results get superimposed on this graph on the left hand side or right hand side, I know that this is the 100% drying or the cleaning process, clear. And where do I stand if I adopt any other technique and quantify my efforts, that what type of decontamination of soils I have achieved by other methods. Now, this is what exactly Ganraj is doing. So, suppose if I give you a heap of mountain like the mountain which you have in the IIT campus, on which you climb and see the Mulund, this is the size of the mountains of the red mud, or let us say industrial byproducts which are lying here and there. Now, if somebody asks me a question, can you neutralize this whole mud so that I can use it for some purpose? Are you getting this point? This is where this type of study becomes very useful. So, what I will do is I will inject some gases, I will inject some chemicals, I will inject water, and I will do all sorts of logistics to take out the effluents so that they do not pollute the world, geo-environment. And after doing all this, if I take out a sample and do this test and superimpose it over here, I know that complete washing was this and I am somewhere here. It shows that yes, I have decontaminated soils. This answer is better than saying nothing can be done. At least I have lowered down the extent of contamination of the soils, because these are the solutions which have to be given to the industry and the governance. So, imagine if I remove all this chloride and sulphide with pH equal to 13, I am sure you can't walk on this material with your rubber shoes. Why? It is all alkalinity, and God forbid if you slip over there and if you touch the material, you are gone absolutely. So, it is very dangerous to work on this type of deposits. And go to Australia, I mean there are the soils which might be having sulphate contents, and acidity of the soil could be of the order of 2.5, 2. Again you can't access these places. Forget about taking out sample with the help of a drill bit, drill bit itself will get dissolved in no time. So, these are the challenges which people are facing and trying to overcome. So, this must be giving you an idea about the complexities associated. So, the people who ask the question, where are the solutions?